Welcome to Carefree and Conscious, paranormal and profound authors with stunning true stories. If you like this type of content, be sure to subscribe. I'm your host, Susanne Wilson, the Carefree Medium and Intuition Educator. Today on Carefree and Conscious, photos and voices from other dimensions, instrumental transcommunication, with our guest Sonia Raldi from Brazil. Sonia Raldi is perhaps the world's leading researcher in instrumental transcommunication, and we'll explain what that's all about during this show. You won't want to miss this. Sonia is a co-founder and research director of IPATI.org. It is the Institute of Advanced Research on ITC. You can see Sonia in the film Raldi, an afterlife documentary by We Don't Die Films, directed by Robert Lyon and narrated by Sandra Champlain. She receives amazing transcommunication, images, and voices. Sonia has developed and implemented novel technology for the recording of non-corporeal consciousness. She has won numerous awards, including the Helen Reader Foundation and Swedish Institute for Parapsychology, as well as awards and prizes from universities in Europe. She's published over 174 e-magazines and 17 books. And now Carefree and Conscious, photos and voices from other dimensions. Sonia Raldi, welcome to Carefree and Conscious.
Thank you for the opportunity, Susanne. It was a pleasure for me to have your
The pleasure is ours, believe me. I've been very excited about this because I know of no one else on Earth, at least, that is doing the kind of work in the way that you are doing it and receiving the extraordinary results that you often receive. Let's find out about you. Was there some early experience that led you to want to get into instrumental transcommunication or using technology to communicate with other dimensions in the afterlife? What made you the Sonia Raldi that you are right now?
Well, this is a long story. I have to summarize it because it is nearly 40 years, right? But I think that my interest was at the beginning was not because I have lost someone. Happily, I just would lose much later my husband and then my mom and my father. But 40 years ago, I just wanted to be sure to have my own proofs that we could survive after life. And mainly, besides surviving, we could communicate with them. Obviously, I had only few information. I was about 18 years old, 20 or something like that. So I had very few information, but I heard that people in Europe was recording voices. And then I said, well, this is the reply that I want, because if there is the possibility of recording the spirits, wow, that is the proof, that is a solid proof that I want. And so I started. And for 3 years, I didn't listen a thing. So it was looking like failing, but that was when really started. I think they were testing my patience, and I went on and on every week recording. And after 3 years, I started having the communication, and now we are where we are.
Well, people are listening and thinking, okay, Susanne, what are you into now? Because I interview the paranormal and the profound folks out there in the world. And I just mentioned ITC, or instrumental transcommunication. It involves equipment. How do you explain ITC to someone who's never heard of it before?
Well, making it simple, but obviously very incomplete. It is just the communication that the spirits may make through devices. Whatever we talk about instrumental transcommunication, we will be talking about electronic devices. Whatever it is, because I think that in these 40 years I have used everything. So television, webcam, tape recorders, radio, anything. All these was used in the past. But now, with the development of human technology, sometimes a cell phone and a computer, it is enough. So the progress was obviously in the other side. They simplified the ways to contact us. And obviously they are still testing. I think that this will never end because they will be progressing and so will our technology. So
Can just anyone decide I want to use equipment and communicate with a spirit guide or a non-human intelligent being, say an angel, or their beloved person or pet on the other side? And if they did that, where would they start?
well, I think that the first thing people should do is to get information, to know where you are going into, and start. But because in truth, let's say that the technical part is absolutely simple. It is just ordinary devices. The point is to reach the interest of the other side. And how we'll get it? Being a honest person, having honest objectives, and wishing to help. So obviously, the person is analyzed himself or herself. It is not the devices that will make the difference. Otherwise, mine could not be useful because they are not something very, uh, very modern. But anyway, they work exactly because they need to make a connection and trust the person with whom they are working.
That makes a lot of sense because I would think that if somebody just sat down with a digital recorder and said, I'm open to hearing from whoever is here, it would be not necessarily a real ethical spirit that would just jump in. There has to be, as you said, some kind of relationship, some kind of trust to get the results that you want. So you think education, like reading about the history, or some of those who have come before is important, and who would some of those people be, in your opinion?
Yeah, sure. Because I think that it is time in persons to discover that there are two ways of communication from the spirits. One happens, let's say, very locally. It is something that can happen here. If I had, let's suppose, a tape recorder here being turned on, the spirits could make an influence and make some sounds, some hits, etc. But that is not what I'm trying to get in all these years, neither what my spirit friends are trying. They are trying to communicate from a transmission station, which is absolutely very far away. They are not here, sat down in my side. They are not in our space-time, but obviously lots of relatives, the deceased ones are around the persons and may start giving some signs to the person that wants to record them. But the best will be if this spirit be taken to the transmission station and also try to contact in a more sophisticated, let's say, way with more technology and less possibility of bad interference.
So what, in your research, what is the difference about you, say Konstantin Raudova, Bocce's radio, all of these folks that have had great success? Is there something that you all have in common, something about you as sort of like mediums that makes the magic for the equipment?
No, that is the point. I think that what the spirit friends are looking for is to have a communication purely technical, without any possibility of depending on my energy or anyone's energy. But for that, they have to test, and test, because they are also building devices. That is the point, that the local spirits, let's say, the ones that are around, cannot have, they cannot progress because they are limited, while from the station, they can develop new devices and have more genius working there, inventors, and so that they can improve the communication. That is what they are trying in all these years.
That's such a great point. And as a medium, from my perspective, it always astonishes me when people say to me, well, why doesn't my loved one just walk into the room in spirit and just show themselves to me? They're omniscient, they're all powerful, they can do anything. And I'm always trying to educate my people around me, my students, that you don't become a god because you're out of your physical body. And all the times that I've had astral travel, that I've communicated with spirits who have given me great information, I've tested them, they have a really good information that they want to share. It's pretty consistent about a couple of things. First off, the communication from them to us is not automatic and is not always easy. In fact, it usually is not easy. There are those whose job it is on the other side, in the other dimension, to help get the communication through. And the souls have shown me also that they go to different halls for different things. And some of them have called it a hall of reunion, where they go and basically have an appointment to work with someone there who has some technology that works with their physics, or whatever their physics are in that dimension, or even if they have physics, I don't know. But it's actually, it's work, but it's work done with pleasure. They don't have the impatience most of the time that we have. It's sort of like a hobby, and they want to practice, and they want us to be patient. And because it's like we're grieving, we want everything now. That can make it really difficult. So when we get somebody like you that's using scientific methods, that's measuring results, that's keeping records over years and years of time, I mean, that makes them joyful to want to work with you. So you've gotten contact with some very important souls who have walked the earth here. Can you share some of the names of those people that have contacted you through ITC from the other side?
Yes, sure. I think that long ago, about some 15 years, I heard for the first time that Tesla was present. And then my question was, who who Tesla? Is it possible that it was Nikola Tesla? Or maybe it is another, because Nikola Tesla would talk to me, for God's sake. And then in the first moment, I said, maybe I listened wrongly, and so, but later I discovered that, yes, in truth, Nikola Tesla seems to be, let's say, the main coordinator of this project. So this is a huge project. It is not that they wanted to talk to Sonia. They are preparing to talk to Earth. So they are using Sonia by now to test, to see what they can do and how they can develop. So it has the coordination of huge spirits. Even Tesla possibly wasn't precisely a human when he was here. I think that he comes from a very high condition, and obviously incarnated like in a human body. But in truth, the holy life, his holy life, his maniacs, his genius, everything says that he was not a human, ordinary human, right? So he's one of the main commanders. And the other two persons with whom I'm frequently in contact is Dr. Constantine Raldi, and a Brazilian inventor that nobody knows, called Roberto Landel de Moura. He was, in truth, the inventor of the radio. He invented the radio 4 years before Marconi, but Marconi was ahead, and he was a priest and so on. So he is not famous at all, but he's very dedicated to this project.
That's some heady company that you're keeping. And I also have worked with you, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. And I think it's going to stun and maybe create some disbelief in some of the people that are listening. But first, let's talk a little bit about some of the pictures that you get are not human. We know that you get some very compelling pictures, and even sometimes you have to reach out to people and figure out who these pictures are that are appearing for you and their loved ones. But I really am interested in the non-human beings that you're capturing. I've looked at some of your pictures, and I've seen many of these since childhood. I've seen beings that look like this and communicated with them. I have a guide that's actually from Arcturus, and I've validated him. I've had other people see him and describe him to me so that I know I'm not losing my mind, because even I, want to make sure I'm grounded and everything's real. Why do you think non-humans would care about creating communication between the worlds like this?
Yeah, the point, Susanne, that nobody thinks is that I think that in the universe, especially let's talk about Earth, it has to have an organization. It cannot be something that, we are just here humans and we are free to do what we do and nothing. No, I think that as far as we develop and we progress and we learn, we go on, let's say, raising up in a scale so that one day we will be lighted spirits. Obviously, that is not our case here on Earth, but there are lots of spirits that has reincarnated for many, many times already. So they are ahead of us. Not necessarily they will have a human appearance, because they may have lived here, let's say 20,000 years ago. And then they belonged to another type of race, had another development, so they look like different from us. But they are, let's say, more capable. They learn, and they learned principally that they have to love. That is what they teach us. So, considering that there is a hierarchy above us, we humans, and then we go on developing, I think that the point is that they know, mainly now, that we humans are in a risk because of our defects or our incapacities. So they wanted to help us. And I feel that these high people from the command, I would say, from Earth, knows that if they have to want to help us, it has to instruct us that we live after death. So to have to teach mankind that we have a goal. We are not here on holidays. We are here for learning and for developing. So I think that is why they help the loved ones in the other side to communicate with us. I would say that the ultra-terrestrials are our bosses. I think they have the technology. They teach the CCD ones that are in the station now. So I think they work all together, ultra-terrestrial, intraterrestrial, humans, all together with their capabilities. So that is why they contact us to show that life goes on. This is I think, the last opportunity the other side has to put Earth on the rail because we are completely lost. We are just doing wrong things, and the greed, ambitious, everything, and this has to stop. And maybe teaching that we survive after life, maybe that will make the difference. So that is why they do it.
It absolutely would make the difference if we had every human being on Earth know and trust that you never die, that you're going to live forever with your actions, and you would start living in a way that you would treat others the way you want to be treated. But people are like, I can just do this, I can just do that. I want to increase my portfolio. And decisions are made with casualties or just, oh, well, that's the cost of doing business. So that would change. But I think I know the answer to this, but why don't our bosses or the non-human intelligent beings that are millennia ahead of us in their development, why don't they just come down and take over and fix things?
Well, they can't. In their place, I also wouldn't do it because we have to grow up by ourselves. Imagine it is like, let's suppose you are the owner of a huge factory, and then you decided to give it as a present to your 16 years old son. It will be a total disaster because he didn't create it. He didn't develop it to own all that. So I think they cannot just come here and show, look, we exist, you are not alone, and you will live forever. Many religions would collapse. So we have to go from the ground to up, and they cannot do it. They cannot solve our problems, mainly because we created these problems that we are facing. We see our present moment near perhaps a third war. And who caused that? They will not solve what we created. We have to do by ourselves.
Because if you went in and fixed it for the 16-year-old son, you'd be running the factory forever and he would never learn. So they
Yeah.
want us to be peers in the cosmos with them, or at least be working towards that, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Now, what kinds of physical evidence, what kinds of physical communication do you get? I know about the pictures and also the sounds, the electronic voice phenomena, because I've experienced it with you, and we are going to talk about that in a second. But people are listening and thinking, "Wow, this sounds really interesting. What do the faces appear on? Can you give us some ideas?"
Well, I think that at the moment that we are living now, I think that the images that are coming are nearly, obviously, not as clear as I can see you, for instance, at this moment. But I would say that it is like 70% what I see watching to you. That is, it is very, very clear. It is not something like a spot that you may think, well, what exactly that? No, they are very clear. And I have some examples either of loved ones or non-humans, because both appear, mainly, obviously, the bosses knows that we are more interested in seeing the loved ones. They know that, because obviously that is why the persons start looking for if we survive or not. So obviously they work for this point, bringing the images of the loved ones. But they are doing much more than that. They are showing, for instance, and if you want, I can show you some cases. They are not only bringing the loved one himself or herself, but also impressively, they can bring this person in different ages of her life, his life. So let's suppose let's suppose that I was filming you, and then and you were on the other side, right? So, and then we start seeing Susanne with 30 years, 20 years, 15, 10 years old. And then you'll say, oh, that is how I was when I was a little girl. And obviously nobody has those images. So that is a very interesting evidence, because the family obviously have no idea that we'll see the loved one as a child. So what they are teaching us with this phenomenon, they are teaching that we are all our memories together. When we leave this body, we will be just the memories, that is our consciousness. And then all these, nothing will get lost. All moments of my life are recorded in here, in my consciousness. These will not vanish. So that's another point, that human beings should be careful what they do, their options, because everything is printed, let's say, in our consciousness. And so they are showing that they in the other side, they can rescue images of your past, your remembrances. So that is curious.
It's amazingly comforting too to know not only are loved ones not going to forget us, we can actually, when we get to the other side, we can relive things from the past and create new memories too. I mean, gosh, that's amazing. I have so many people saying, well, what if my loved one's reincarnated when I get there? They're thinking, reincarnation is some linear progression. And I think in showing you the folks on the other side, the souls at different ages, and saying, look, I can look like this, I can look like that, is not like they're creating the images, they're actually transforming through the love bond that they have with their families here, and saying, this was me at that time, this was me at that time, I'm still that person, I carry all of that love and all the memories with me. It's incredibly powerful. Yeah, let's take a look at some of what you have brought today to show us. And for those listening, you can always go to YouTube at Carefree Medium and take a look. We'll just be brief, but I mean, the proof is in the eating of the pudding, right?
So can I share my screen?
Yeah, I think so. Let me know.
Let me
Take your
see.
time. Don't be in a hurry. Remember, I've got the little edit button.
Okay. Are you seeing my screen?
Yes, perfect. Let's do it.
Okay. So
Oh, nice.
I will show some cases, and you tell me if it whenever you want me to stop. I just will go quick so that we
You
can.
can do whatever you want, because I could always publish a second
Okay.
video in more detail. So do what you want to do.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So this is a very recent case. This was last week's case. A mother contacted Lisa and sent this photo. This is Tess' photo. So as per our combination, Lisa receives the photos from the parents and then sends to me one photo. Even that she receives more, it doesn't matter. She just sent me this image that we are seeing at left. Now, look at this. You see a somewhat 3D image, and you see in two different ages the same person. So the question is where they got the image of the child, the little girl. It was extracted, I understand, from Tess' memories. So she is everything still. She exists in her total, right? So this is another one. Observe that again in two different ages. This is another case, also very recent. This is Phyllis. She passed at the age of 20, and look as she appeared as a little child. So the family are still for sending me the pictures of her childhood so that we can compare. This is another case. This was the father of someone, and look at as he appeared. At left, he appeared as an old man, and at the right as a little child.
Yeah,
So I,
gosh. The
I hope,
features are like so, I mean, obviously the features are exactly what you would think, you know, when they look younger.
yeah. This is also, all these cases are very recent because so it is new for people who is seeing us for the first time. So this is Elias' case. He was murdered, and this is how he appeared. This is Wes. He passed at the age of 13 of a heart situation. Look that they are trying to bring in 3D. So they are trying to better the communication with us. And this was a curious case. I brought the 1 minute video or less. This was a phenomenon that happened some 2 months ago when I was in New Orleans. And I tested with each participant of the event. There were 50 persons. That was a crazy idea. I should never do it because it was a lot of work, but it doesn't matter. It was worthy. And this was Shane. He was one of the students. And let me show you. I was just moving a transparent cloth behind him or sometimes in front of the student. And in the cloth, that there is absolutely nothing. We will see images that are formed in real time. So
So
let's check it.
the cloth is placed, oh, I see it. Now the video is showing
Yeah.
he's James
Okay.
sitting in a chair, just wearing a black shirt, and this
Yeah,
cloth is
look.
placed over him, and the face just appears in real time. Boom, there it
Yes,
is.
there it is. But what was interesting, when I shared the result, this was the photo at the left was the design, let's say, that the other side sent. And this was in Shane's cell phone. He just showed it. He said, "Oh, that's my friend that passed it 2 weeks ago." And I
Wow.
came to this event just to try to see if I could take an word of hope to her husband because he's absolutely in despair.
Well, the
So
ITC, that ITC image there, it's not exactly like the picture, but it's exactly like the person in the picture.
yes,
Like you've got the chin, you've got the eyes, and this is not, I'm looking at this going, this can't be pareidolia, where, you know, where our brain wants to make sense of things and recognize patterns and see an image where there isn't one. I mean, there is a face right there. We have more to talk about, but I don't want to forget to mention in April 2025, you have some things going on, I believe, in the United States. Lisa or Sonia, do you want to tell us about those?
Sure. So Sonia will be presenting at the 2025 Physical Mediumship Conference in Albany, New York. And we'll be doing some live experimentation during that too. So that's always a real treat because it's typically 100% online right now. So when we go and people sometimes are actually able to see changes happening in real time, not even with our going back and putting the video together, looking at it frame by frame, people have been actually seeing changes in real time. So that's
Okay,
pretty exciting. And then in
that's
June,
amazing.
we'll be in Orlando with the Touching Eternity conference in Orlando, the first week of June, 2025.
2025, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And if you're watching this after that date, just go to the website because Sonia's is being blessed and rewarded with more communication all the time from the commanders. It's not the equipment. It's not objective equipment that's making this happen. It is the person and the heart and the frequency of the person, meaning Sonia. That's what I believe as a medium. That's what I see. So let's talk about how did we get to call them the bosses, the commanders? I mean, I think they've named themselves because 5 years ago, actually almost to the week, you and I met on Zoom, Sonia, and some very interesting things happened. We were meeting because I had a spirit in my home speaking German that my husband at the time even heard. I came home from my office and walked in, and he says, this German voice was sort of mumbling. And I looked around like, is there a TV on or something? And I asked my husband, did you just hear that? And he was so nonchalant after all those years. And he said, oh, yeah, I've been hearing the German guy all day. And he identified himself to me as Konstantin Raudova. And I said, I don't know, Sonia, I emailed you and you've kept that email. You've kept all your documentation because you're such a good documentarian. Well, we had to meet and try to sort this out because when somebody comes to my home in spirit and gets my attention, as good as my boundaries are, I know I need to take action. So let's talk about the strange noises and the voices and the words that were uncovered that day.
Yeah. Well, I brought the sample of the sound. Let me just share the screen again. So I think that sometimes I avoid to talk about non-humans. I don't know you. I feel that you are more courageous than me, but I avoid it because people is not prepared. But I love a sentence by Carl Sagan when he said, the universe is a pretty big place. If it is just us, seems like an awful waste of space. And I think that he is right. And so many things are happening. And we both, I and Susanne met in 2018. And then I made a magazine about everything that happened that day. And it was very curious because Susanne contacted me, what was a huge surprise. And I thought, oh my God, Susanne Wilson wants to talk to me. And I was so, oh my God. And then we made an appointment in Zoom and we started talking, but we didn't know what to expect or what would happen. So we started simply talking, we both. And everything was recorded by Susanne, and so that we could control the time later, right? So after 23 minutes after we had started, I was cut off, my sound disappeared. Susanne went on recording in her room, and I could see her in my screen talking, but I couldn't listen to anything. And then I thought, oh my God, what a shame. How can I do this with Susanne Wilson? I possibly turn off something. And then I was looking for running, and I was nervous. And I looked at the screen, and there was Susanne with her earphones talking. And I wanted her to know that I was not listening, but I couldn't because I had no sound. And then after 12 minutes, which is a long time, finally, from nowhere, she came back to the sound. And then she asked me, Sonia, did you listen that sound? I didn't listen anything. She was listening in her room. And she said, no, it was something very odd. And then she sent me the sample. When you want, I can play it. Let's say to the sound. So we will listen also her voice in some moments.
I feel you here. I know you're here. That's interesting.
I think that you also remember that you mentioned that you felt very bad, as if someone was pushing, no,
It was,
pulling your
it
stomach.
hurt. It actually hurt. It was, mediumship always drains me. Tuning in always drains me. And if you're doing it right, it does make you tired. I will say that. But this was a solar plexus sort of discomfort that later on just wiped me out so badly that I thought, I'll probably never do that again. And of course, it's like riding that crazy roller coaster that at the time you're like, what was I thinking? And then later on, you're like, I want to get back on that because it's so exciting. But at the time, it's like my guts are being pushed on and pulled out and pushed on and pulled out. So they were definitely using my energy. And I would find out from you later that there were words being spoken.
Yeah, in truth. And you also saw, have had a very interesting view. You saw a lab over my head, something like that, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I'm so glad that we have this recording. We
Yeah,
start to
well,
remember all this detail. I remember, you know what's really funny, Sonia, too, is I'll forget sessions really, really fast. Like it's kind of through me, not from me. But I actually remember more from this experience because it left such an impression on me. Like I was in touch with something in a frequency I hadn't been in touch with before.
Sonia, I remember when Suzanne said that she saw you, but you had a different hairstyle. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And you actually did have that when you were younger.
yes. No, but you know what? I think that Suzanne, in truth, she saw the real reality.
Uh-huh.
Because what I think, obviously, I have no evidences of that, solid evidences, but what I feel is that, for instance, during the day, I'm here, but at night, I'm another person, and I'm working in the station, and I have to learn how to communicate with us because I will assume a task later when I return it there. So it will not be a surprise. So I think that what Suzanne saw was precisely me and me now, me now here and me now in the other side. So remember, she said that it was a carbon copy. She used this expression. She said it was, she could see a carbon copy over here in my lab. She could see a copy of my of me and everything here in the other side.
There.
And that is precisely the technology that they use. That is how they can work.
There's some dominion over
away.
time, like some control or dominion over time being used somehow.
Yeah, sure. And mainly because it is something very rare. Well, Lisa knows that when I sleep, I would say that I die. I don't dream. I don't see anything. I just go to bed. And after 5 minutes, I'm completely out.
And
It's
I can
as if
attest, she doesn't move. She
Yeah.
doesn't move. Like she just stays
Mhm.
like she is all night. And then 9 hours later,
Yeah, I woke up.
she's like, I'm awake. Okay.
So, and I don't see anything. So I don't see if I'm in a station or not. I don't see, but I feel that I have two lives, one here and another, and the other at the same time.
Yeah, that's what we know as out of body experiences, astral travel, but yours is sort of automatic. It's almost as though that's maybe the real life, and you're sort of beaming in during your waking hours to bring the work here, bring it to fruition. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I think so. Yeah,
Who knows? But what were they saying? Let's get to what they were actually saying and what language was being spoken. And how did you find the words and the weird sounds?
well, today when I was preparing this sample to show to you, I just I just took a little piece, and then I to remember what I did at that time. What I thought, and it worked, was that oh, that sound beep, 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 very, very high. If I thought that if I could bring it down to a human level of voice, there could be a message. That is, I thought that that weird sound that Susanne recorded had words, but obviously we couldn't understand. It was just beep, 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 beep.
Yeah, it was obnoxious to me, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I imagine Susanne listened to that. And one important thing, Susanne, you said that it was an objective sound. I remember that. It was not in your, because I asked, was
Oh,
it in
yeah.
your head? You said no.
Oh, no, it was loud in my ears. Yeah.
Yeah, so that you could record in the
Yes.
Zoom meeting. So this very short piece here, it is in Portuguese, but I think that it is easy to perceive. This a very, very short moment of that weird sound, and a female voice says, mandou a notícia. That means we sent the news. So I'll play in Portuguese and explain to you. When she says a notícia, it is very, very clear. She says, mandou a notícia.
There it is. Yeah.
So that it was something that was in the sound that Susanna was recording, but why we never discovered what test was that. But it was everything very incredible that day.
And sometimes when I think about this, I've just
So that it was something that was in the sound that Susanna was recording, but why we never discovered what test was that. But it was everything very incredible that day.
sometimes when I think about this, it's surreal because of the fact that we always think that once we go into the other dimension, once we leave the body, that everything's just great. We just live in a nice little town or whatever people think about. There are actually people on the other side working their tails off to try to help us do what we came here to do, which is to live and demonstrate compassion for self and others, to be custodians of the planet, to be in a community and help each other and learn all we can from the experiences. And we get to the other side and we still, some of us want to reach out and help folks here and go to all of this work. And then we have all these non-human intelligent beings from different dimensions and other parts of the cosmos who look at the earth and love this place and love humanity and almost have a parental regard for us. It makes you feel really humble. It makes you realize what you do truly does matter. What do you think the message is, Sonia? And are we ready? Like, are we ready to be able to have anybody just turn on a computer and be able to connect with whoever they want, whatever dimension they're in? Is humanity really ready for this?
I think that for many reasons, humanity is not prepared, mainly because the greatest three religions that we have in the world denies the afterlife. So that is the first point that is very complicated, because for them to install the news that we live forever, they would be, let's say, putting all religions upside down, because people trust that when they die, they will go to heaven and will be happy forever, or badly, if they will go to hell and will be unhappy forever. Well, both versions, I think, are completely wrong. And so, yeah, I think that humanity is not prepared, mainly because of religions, mainly because of the lifestyle that we developed, very materialistic. This is a huge problem. But I think that, in a way or other, they will come with this project. They are not playing, as I usually say. When I see some images, I say, oh my God, these guys are not playing. This is serious. So what they are doing that, they have to have a goal. They have to have a chronogram. When all these will come to Earth and how, we have no idea, but it will, because they are preparing for that.
So we need to be worthy, really, to receive more help. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, that is the lesson, right? I think that you mentioned compassion. I think that that is something that is, if we humans had compassion, I think that the world would be different, but we didn't get it yet. So, that is the point. I think that or
Yeah.
in a way or in another, we will learn it because it is time to move ahead. And we cannot keep staying on earth, just suffering, 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 and never change and repeating the same things. So we will learn somehow, I'm sure.
I get it. So now, oh my gosh, this is ultra terrestrials.
Yes.
And possibly they've lived on Earth before. They may be from our future, but they've evolved into a different form. And it doesn't
Yes.
look exactly like this, but many are sort of humanoid looking. But for those of you listening, if this is in the podcast, I'm blown away right now because I'm looking at ITC showing a being that's kind of like what I've seen before. I've never seen this picture, but tell us about Narisha, Narisha.
Yeah, Narisha is one of the commanders in the command of Earth. As I said, I suppose that there is a hierarchy, so that those in the commands are the ones that are older and that know more than the others below, to the point we are, right? And Narisha was the name that was given long ago when he started appearing. And then I looked in internet who was Narisha, and I found as being an old god in India. So possibly when ancient people in India was living there, they had some gods, and Narisha was one of them. So that he's still with us, because I think that these guys, uh, they make the option of helping Earth. Obviously, they could go away and make another type of progress, but they made the option of helping Earth, and that is what they do to our civilization now, right? This is another one, and I think that Narisha looks like Akhenaten, the pharaoh, and maybe.
I would also say like an Anunnaki, as we've seen them represented. I've seen that shape a lot before, especially when I was in Egypt last fall.
Yeah. I brought the video. It is a some seconds video just for you to see how the faces started getting forming. This was some method that I don't use anymore, but it was interesting for showing now. You see that the face is starting getting formed. I was using simply bubble plastic over the television screen, and the screen was turned like just static. You see
Okay, so
this?
it's white static on a TV screen with concave, is that concave sheer plastic over it?
I don't.
Or is it straight, or is it straight across the TV?
Yeah, I hold it in front
Okay,
of
gotcha.
the
And so
screen.
we can see this face form in real time and then see the final
Yeah.
result. Oh my gosh.
And it is curious because they form one after the other.
Yeah, there's a lot of faces. Oh, wow. I have chills watching this. So because we have quite a bit of pictures to show you, I've created another video for you to watch. Go to YouTube and look for at Carefree Medium and see more of Sonia Rinaldi's incredible work. So for people that wonder what it is about you that the equipment just works because you're using it, have you experimented having somebody else use your stuff and you're not even present? Like,
Communication, no, I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
yeah, like doing everything. Go ahead.
Yeah. So like, what's so special about you? Can you give you what you use, your cell phone, your equipment? Can you give it to somebody else and they'll get the same exact results that you get?
And have you tried that? Have you said, okay, I'm leaving the building. Lisa, here's all the stuff. You do it. And did it work? Have you tried it? Have you
No.
had somebody?
But it is a good idea.
You need to do that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you need to do that because I think it's just going to prove to us that it's you in some way, you know, until the commanders, which by the way, they named themselves that through electronic voice phenomena that you collected a long time ago. But until they anoint somebody else, it's you. And so yeah, Lisa's got a great point here. What is it about you in your mind? What do you think it is about you? What have you realized about yourself that is helping this happen? What are your qualities you think? How well do you know yourself now after all this?
Well, I think that some persons come to here on their behalf. Let's suppose, hypothetically, that I make part of the team, and then one day they asked me, Sonia, I was not Sonia yet. Sonia, we need someone on Earth to test with us. Do you face this challenge? And I said yes. And then here I am. So I think that I go on making part of the team. It is something like, it's a horrible comparison, but it is something like the FBI contracts the spy, puts him in Indonesia. They will be following him every day, every moment, and caring, and they are responsible for him as well, for him to accomplish his task. And so that is what I think that I am. I think that because usually I say I don't work for our side, I work for the other side.
The other thing I think, Sonia, is that you recognize and give all credit to the other side. You take so little of the credit for it yourself.
But that is true.
Yes. And I mean, I think that that's the secret right there, is that tireless dedication. I mean, you've set up your entire life to be able to do this every day, week after week, month after month, decade after decade. So you definitely were sent here to do this.
I think so. And I drive all my volunteers a bit crazy, you included. Sometimes I think that Lisa gets crazy because it has so many files and so many cases. But I think that we have to do the maximum while we are here. Because in some years, maybe 5, 10, or 20, will not be here. But what we have done will be. So that's what we have to care.
Wow. Well, it's impressive. And I know that you have a lot of work ahead. And I hope that people that are listening to this will reach out and help in whatever way that they can, because we need all the help from our higher selves, our guides, our loved ones in spirit, to make sure that we get ourselves out of some of the messes that we're in and remember who we truly are. So I want to say, Lisa, thank you for all that you do. Sonia often says that she couldn't do this work without you. So
Yeah.
thank you. And Sonia Rinaldi, thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity, Susanne.
So because we have quite a bit of pictures to show you, I've created another video for you to watch. Go to YouTube and look for @Carefree Medium and see more of Sonia Raldi's incredible work. Visit our website, carefreemedium.com, or find us on social media @Carefree Medium. Thanks for supporting Carefree and Conscious.